Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast giving a voice to our veterans. On today's episode, we're going to have Marine veteran Ronnie Serquinia. I don't know, I probably said that wrong, but that's okay. He'll correct me in just a couple minutes. But before we get into that podcast, are you enjoying it? Join the podcast and be sure to go to the Lost Art website. That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go in and click on that merchandise tab. Go in and see what kind of merchandise that you can get to help support what we got going on here, giving our veteran voices out for all to hear.
Admin stuff, and even better, I'm all like, bro, like, I don't know. I have that cognitive dissonance. If I'm not a mechanic, how am I supposed to lead Marines, you know? He was getting through my head. Sergeant Martinez, or excuse me, as he were, Staff Sergeant Martinez, like, hey, you and I'm all like, hey, did you do sergeant school yet? Well, I did that maintenance battalion. Boom, you have it freaking made. It's just a matter of time for you to be a staff sergeant. You just got to qual, but like, I don't know, it was not in my head. And then I had all my peers, my sergeant peers, hey, Ronnie, like sometimes we'll do the first name basis. Hey, Ronnie, I know this sucks, but if you need anything, we're here for you. But I became so freaking withdrawn again. Going back into the back in the shop floor doing maintenance, you know, I had confidence. I feel like I was in a video game and basically starting Motor T all over again, but as a sergeant. But you know, when certain maintenance procedures that need to be done, that is out of my how do I say it? Out of my expertise, I was compromised. And then at the time we got the QC billet holders. Okay, another billet, quality control Marine, or quality control of the maintenance, you know, being the inspector, and also being like a maintenance chief as a corporal of Marines, you know, again, because of my outstanding leadership from Master Sergeant Harstein. You know, we have corporals holding these billets and corporals holding platoon sergeant billets, while sergeants are, you know, transitioning out to the next unit or going to what's that word, SDA, you know, or my time about to leave the unit going to DI school. It was basically it just became, what's the word, I want to call it self-sabotaging, like, again, me freaking out. I mean, what got to me more, again, I was like shit, I don't want to have another Calvillo or Powers incident. But the thing is, I had junior, but I couldn't show that to them. I had junior Marines that are counting on me, not just as a maintainer, but to you know, to set the example of what a sergeant of Marines is, you know.
Right.
And I friggin' had a friggin' panic attack, because especially I got even a panic I got even a more panic attack even more when my wife and I caught COVID and we were quarantined. Now I got a dose of being ROM for 10 days. So I feel like I couldn't do anything, and I was in my head like, fuck, you know. But I have to I got to follow my Marines who were placed on ROM for 30 days, you know, use them as the inspiration to get through it. But again, failing out of McQuist and advanced swim qual, not managing my time better, like, shoot, and then putting my rotary cuffs to shots, you know, trying to, you know, prep, basically doing everything I can to prep for DI school. And then also getting up at 3:30 in the morning from camp, to wake up from Camp Shields to drive all the way to Hanson to do McBap. This is the time also I was getting my brown belt. Oh my gosh, I was already drained, and on top of that, doing UTC stuff, it was overwhelming. So anyways, I had a huge panic attack, and then It was 2 weeks before my no, it was about a month away from my school date. I kind of just I just lost it. I kind of said I told we having a PME at dang 12, yeah, it's 12th Marines in Okinawa on
Mm-hmm.
basically on troubleshooting and I just had another panic attack and I pulled the new staff sergeant that stepped on deck. I think I want to unalive myself. And he's all like, okay. And then he took me straight to the ward up in freaking Foster, basically,
Yeah.
essentially. So basically get evaluated and all that stuff. And then just because of those simple words, I basically destroyed my chances of going to the drill field, again. I set myself for failure again with playing with my own thoughts and my own struggles as, of being that Marine or experiencing the Calvillo and the Powers incidents.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to deal with that. So like shoot, I wanted to give back to the Marine Corps, but I want to give back being giving back to the Marine Corps being a drill instructor.
Yeah.
And and then I basically instead of dealing with the loss of a loved one, I was dealing with the 5 stages of grief of of sabotaging my be a drill instructor. Like fuck,
Yeah.
that sucks. That hurts my pride like more than anything. And I became
Mm-hmm.
super withdrawn that I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. So I end up talking to their career planner, like, hey, do you want to re-enlist? I'm all like, bruh, I don't want to re-enlist. There's no point in me re-enlisting because again, I wasn't being very competent as a mechanic. I'm like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
incentive of me for re-enlisting. Like, how can I lead? Again, I lost my sight of being the Marine. I was
Yeah.
really so it was so bad, like, I end up taking so what happens is my 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 extension got canceled. My extension from October to October, my extension for October to 2025 got canceled, got canked to the
Okay.
point that I got my original EAS dates, which was October of 2022,
Oh
reinstated.
wow.
And then not just only that, going through grief that grief process, I basically had less than 90 days to do TRS.
Yeah. Holy
Oh my
cow.
gosh. I had to basically jump the hoops. And not just only that, I had to use up all my leave days to prep out of to transition out. And again, me being depressed and try to be level minded with my wife. My
Mm-hmm.
gosh. Oh my gosh, I put a lot of stress on my wife. I mean, as it is, well, I'll talk about my spouse in a little bit, but again, not having that mental capacity state, again, I destroyed, I want to be a drill instructor and give back to the Marine Corps in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to do TRS, what do you call it? Take clean all my SIF gear and also have to go
Oh yeah.
buy SIF gear and look for SIF gear like left and right to replace the missing assets,
Mm-hmm.
the doing the checkout process.
Yeah.
And I was just at home self-loathing. That shit freaking sucks.
Yeah.
But anyways, so with the very remaining leave days I had left, and then this is finally COVID kind of like lifted out. Now you can travel. So now my wife and I took the opportunity to travel to mainland Japan. I made sure that
Mm-hmm.
happened, and we had a good time, going to Kyoto, going to Osaka, and going to Nara, Japan. That's the place where they have
Okay.
a bunch of deers. Yeah, good times. But my gosh, I wasn't really functioning as a human being though. I was very self-isolated to the point that I had no incentive of PTing anymore. And my freaking from that time. So me being close to my BCP weight, 185, or excuse me, my max weight's 186, 185. I dropped down to 160 because I just fasted a lot. It was so freaking bad that that we had like I think it was mess night. I couldn't remember correctly. I think it was a battalion mess nights
Yeah.
that we were doing it in alphas. So I was wearing so my alphas were fitting so loose that I had to sneak in. I had to wear my Marine Corps issued sweat top and my Marine Corps issued sweatpants and like three
Underneath your uniform?
layers. Yeah, and 3 layers of three white
Wow.
skiver shirts in order for me to fit in my uniform. And I was basically sweating my
No
balls
kidding.
and just putting a fake smile just just to get through. But yeah,
Wow.
so that basically, basically that ended my time in the Marine Corps. But again, I want to shout out to my wife that's been sticking with me since, before I joined the Marine Corps. So a quick story about my wife. My wife was so again, I was pursuing to be a music teacher, a band teacher. So I was doing my student
Mhm.
teaching in Edison High School in Fresno. My wife was doing she was a school counselor,
Okay.
career readiness and the migrant program with Edison High School and McLean High School in Fresno, respectively.
Mhm.
So, I wasn't really looking for a relationship, but me and her kind of like, you know, clicked.
Yeah.
I was in the teacher's lounge, she was in teacher's lounge, and we just kicked it off. I'm all like, "Hey, girl, I'm joining the Marine Corps. I wasn't really looking for a relationship, but I think you're too freaking good. You're too good to be true of a woman. I think I want to try. I want to try this long distance relationship with you." And you know
Yeah.
what? We made it work. Um, we got married, going back to the boot story. Uh,
Hmm.
Pensacola, we got married in Pensacola. Then we reunited back in Camp Pendleton in the Sarah
Hmm.
Mesa housing. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
also for those living in Sarah Mesa housing, you fork out that $900 or $1,000 BAH rebate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that,
Something like that. Yeah.
me collecting, yeah. So basically collecting all those BAH, I basically paid off my bassoon, but I also paid off my wife's student loans because that
Wow.
was the least I
Very
can
nice.
do for her. Yeah. But my wife is not just a Marine Corps spouse. She's not a dependent. My wife is I think she is like the model military spouse because my wife is a woman of service. She worked at the
Hmm.
base education center in Camp Pendleton. She worked at the CDC center in Camp Pendleton as well, but her main niche was working at the base education center.
Nice.
She was yeah, she was like the technician, like the low level, but I think at the time was like $20 an hour at the time.
Yeah.
And then when we went to Okinawa, she became a substitute teacher for Dodea. But with COVID
Hmm.
happening, she couldn't really work. But she ended up working for NCCS Okinawa.
Okay.
Shout out to them providing a job. She became like some sort of coordinator,
Hmm.
basically, basically serving the military community. I hope you do a podcast for military spouses who maybe an idea I can pitch to you. Interview
Yeah.
spouses
Okay.
and their experience. But yeah,
Yeah.
so my wife, again, using her as the testament of being a good military spouse, a woman of service. She volunteers her time in the community. Let's see, what else did she do? So she was working at NCCS. I forgot her bill. I forgot her position, but she became the. Then she picked up the high position in the education center. They call it a specialist. That's what it is. She
Okay.
became an educational specialist in Futema. Oh my gosh, that was well for her. Oh my gosh, that was just one of the hardest things she do. Sometimes she would come home crying, like hating life. And I think it's just because of
Yeah.
the service members that treated her so badly.
Hmm.
But she ended up picking up a specialist position in Camp Hansen, and that was a 180 turnaround. And
Yeah.
basically to the point that she had people under her that she can task out, and then she just held seminars and oh, I forgot what it is, but like the educational part.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she was also doing guest speaking. Yeah, again, a
Uh,
woman, a spouse, and she cooked for me. Yeah, she's basically a woman of service. And also during that time, 2018, my third Marine Corps ball. Yeah, I think it was Marine Corps ball number 3. Me and my wife were trying to have a kid. Um,
hmm
Nothing happened. I think she had like a block ovary or something. And then to the point
hmm
that we were doing IVF and
Yep.
one of the Japanese hospitals in Okinawa. I'm all like,
Wow.
yeah, babe, I don't think we should be doing this because this goes against our Catholic beliefs. But you know what? Sure, But anyways, me going through that freaking depression phase back in Okinawa, my sperm count was super, super low. My swimmers were
Yeah.
non-existent, very to no little, like boom. But what was I going with this story? So this is where baby Christian comes in.
hmm
So I transitioned out of the Marine Corps October of 2022 of yeah, October 5th of 2022. I got a job working for Subway at a Love's travel stop.
Okay.
Shout out to them. I'll talk about Love's, but anyways, so yeah, I was just like, I didn't, I did have the credentials to go back to substitute teaching, but again, I wasn't in the right mindset at the time.
hmm
So I've been, just basically be a sandwich maker or being, working at Subway, and me going through this depression and also had thoughts of unaliving myself, right? And then my
Right.
wife is going depression herself because, the shit that I was going through, I had some random outbursts because, I can't believe I'm not a DI. Like I just couldn't freaking let it go.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Wanted to be a DI, wanted to be a DI. But anyways, so my wife in November, my wife went to Nogales, Mexico, or excuse me, as you were. Either it was in Nogales, Arizona or Nogales, Mexico, because usually my family members they like going to Mexico for whatever reason to go do healthcare related stuff. But anyways, my
Yeah.
wife got seen and the doctor told her that she had like less than 5% chance of ever getting pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And that really, it just sucked. And then December 30th of 2022, which is my 35th birthday, if I did the math correctly. Yeah, I think it was my 35th fifth. Yeah, my wife's all like, "Hey, Ronnie, I got a present for you." I'm all like, "What is it?" Open it up. I open it up. I see not just one, not just two, but 3 pregnancy tests that came out positive, pregnant. And then
Wow.
right there, my life went super upside down, like me going through this freaking depression and like this the the stages of grief. So baby Christian is now conceived, and my wife, like, finally the miracle baby.
hmm
So the reason why we named my son Christian, because my wife prayed to God every day, and she promised God that we're gonna turn baby Christian into a very good practicing Christian, a really good God-fearing kid. And yeah, and then now
Yeah.
fast forward to the year of 2024. Wow, we're in the first of the month. Hoorah. I get my VA check. But anyways, VA compens. But anyways, so Christian is now 9 months. 9 months as of May 27th.
Wow.
So he was saved. So he's basically the blessing of disguise that made me let go of the Marine Corps and being a drill instructor entirely.
Yeah.
So now, now that I found out I'm a father, I'm working at Love's Travel Stop, you know. I was like, I better freaking figure this shit out. I better get out of my head. So, again, my clientele are truck drivers, right? Coming at Love's
Yeah.
Travel Stop and coming to Subway. I'm all like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I should be a truck driver, but I have to give out a shout out to Corporal Juan Hernandez from Anaheim, California, a Marine that I met in Okinawa, who I met through my wife's friend, which is her. Yeah, I got that. So my wife's friend, her husband, Juan Hernandez, he was the one told when I was at my lowest, me and him would have kneecap to kneecap talks because he was getting out of the Marine Corps too because he was getting admin set for I don't want to say yeah, basically BCP, but anyways, he planted a seed in my head. Hey, you thought about being a truck driver? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to deal with maintenance. I don't want to deal with motor transport, especially coming from the motor T community, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, that seed came back in my head and loves, and we're like, you know what? Maybe I should look into truck driving. And then, another friend, a family friend, he saw me when I'm freaking down to my lowest. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, bro, I know you're working at Subway, but while you're working at freaking Subway, be sure you're the best sandwich maker there. All right. So basically, with his motivating talk to get me out of my depression, it kind of clicked. Then I think about my Chief Warrant Officer Win, my Staff Sergeant Win. Well, now Chief Warrant Officer. Now
Right.
he was my sponsor when he came to Okinawa. The most important thing he ever said to me or to his Marines: "We're here for you, Devil Dog. We're here for you, Marine." So that clicked into my head. So when I was making these sandwiches fast and quick for my customers, he's like, hey, Ronnie, I'm sorry, I'm being very picky. I'm all like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. I'm here for you. So that basically sparked having that mindset, the being the what's the word? Basically the act of service,
Yeah.
the
The servant.
hospitality
Yeah.
civilian, right? Not
Yeah.
hospitality marine, but yeah. So now it kind of clicked in my head. So I got my head straight, right? Working at the Subway, but also it was also cool going back to my Marine Corps roots. Within that Loves, we got Mickey D's to my right. I got the store in my left hand, and then back in the rear, we got the what do you call it? Maintenance. So it made me think
Mhm.
Marine Corps all over again. So I
Yeah.
started PT again, get my head straight. I started listening to Andrew Tate. I don't know if you heard of him.
Uh,
But anyway, that's besides the point. So I got my head out of my butt, and then I decided to use my government GI Bill to go to truck driving school. So, using 3 months of my 36 months of GI Bill, I
yeah.
utilized and became a truck driver. Got my driver's license of May 7th or May 8th of 2023, but I decided to stay in Loves. Now again, the Marine Corps mindset, right? So
Hmm.
treating Loves as if it's the corporate Marine Corps, I might as well work my way up in Loves, right? Being the,
Yeah.
play with the idea of being working in the store side, working in Mickey D's or working in the tire shop. So that made me think, you know what? Maybe I should give maintenance one more time. I don't have the
Mhm.
UCMG. I don't have the UCMJ breathing on me if I break a truck or something, right? I'll just get fired rather than
Yeah.
NJP. So that helps alleviate. So I've been playing
Yeah.
around with that mind, but I'm all like, let's see, maybe I should just work up being a a lead, work up to be a lead, or work my way to manager. But I got turned
Hmm.
down. I put in an application. I got turned down. Two other people end up getting the lead position, but these guys were pretty, or ladies as you were, they were pretty top notch sandwich makers, but knowing how to, they were good teachers. They taught me how to Subway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, I'm all like, you know what? I think my time with Loves comes to an end. Maybe I'll come back to Loves as their field driver. So I apply for Knight's Transportation. So that's my current employee. So yeah, right now in my truck, I have the AC. running, keeping myself cool. So I'm in the yard right now, should be at home, but I think this is a good place to do the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, one last thing. So going to my, so now just one last thing. Marine Corps. So we're, back to first civilian division, talked about subway. So I graduated truck driving school. I got my CDL. I got my VA compensation. It's basically taking care of the bills since my wife's not working and dedicating her time to baby Christian. Yeah, basically my VA compensation is acting as the second income, taking care of the bills. So we're living a little bit comfortably, but I got to take care of my student loans,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of funny because I wanted to utilize the military benefits. The military benefits to take care of my student loans, but Marine Corps does not offer that. But I chose the Marine Corps anyways because of Fergie, Abraham Fregoso. Now he's a
Mhm.
civilian, Lance Corporal Fregoso. Shout out to him and shout out to Fresno, RSS Fresno. Sorry guys, I went to RSS Fresno, but I want to thank my recruiters at RSS Clovis of actually putting in a freaking package for me to join the Marine Corps. It took them 2 years to finally get me into the delayed entry program, and bam,
Oh,
recruit training. So I guess what I wanted to end the podcast is, boom. Basically, the thing I want to end with the podcast. So, going back to Sergeant Morano, entrepreneurship, I
mhm.
really, yeah, and also, inspired by another Marine, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I think he's
Mhm.
about my dad's age. I think he's 75. If you YouTube Robert Kiyosaki, he's all about financial freedom. So if you happen to turn your
Okay.
podcast into some serious passive income, I recommend you read his book. So what inspired me
Okay.
is, I want to be a serial entrepreneur. Basically, what that means is basically start up many businesses based on my success and failures or my
Mhm.
experiences. So, you know, I wanted to be a band teacher before I joined the Marine Corps, right?
Mhm.
But with politics and everything going on, especially with the transgender issue, I don't want to waste my government GI Bill for a teaching credential if I have to deal with the silly wokeness. So it
Yeah.
kind of put some thoughts into my head. And then I'm a huge sucker for music stores. Every time I go to a music instrumental store, it's like
Mhm.
a candy shop for me. So I'm like, huh. And then I'm all like, and then when I went to Okinawa, Japan, I checked out their music stores. The one especially in the Raiku Mall or Parco City Mall. Shout out to them. When I go to those
Yeah.
malls, so they have a music store. They have a music store, and they also give music lessons. I think there's like 10 no, no, that's six practice rooms for
Okay.
them to practice. And so that kind of put a spark in my head. I'm all like, huh, and then when I was doing the vocational exploration during TRS about what are the
Mhm.
possibilities of what I want to do, hey, I want to be a musical instrumental repair tech. You know what? Maybe use my government GI Bill to go to Red Wing, get reunited with
Yeah.
Marines again, right? Did you go to Red Wing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did? You did?
I've gone there to see the schoolhouse, but I haven't
Yeah.
attended the course.
So I definitely, so later, either in the near future, I definitely want to utilize my GI Bill instead of going to the teacher credential program, utilize the GI Bill to go to Red Wing, Minnesota to be a
Yeah.
tech. So with those things, and then me missing out being, and me missing out being a DI, with all of those things coming at me all at once, I'm all like, why? What if I create a music store, you know, where I could
Mhm.
be specializing in double reed instruments because I'm a bassoon player, to the
Hmm.
core. And then my new passion is accordion, so I became an accordion player, but I'm gonna touch that in a bit. Um, so what if I have a music store, whether I'm selling accordions, bassoons? What if, since I'm not in the educational community, what if I help the school district communities with musical instruments become become the repair tech and repair their musical instruments, right? Hello.
Mm, yeah, makes
So
sense. Yep.
that
Oh,
idea. Oh, what happened? Is everything okay?
yep. No,
Okay.
I
Anyways.
don't know. You couldn't hear me for a second. So.
Okay. So that popped into my mind. I'm all like, okay, what if, what if I created a music school again, filling out a school of music, and then
Yeah.
a rough time at I had a rough time when I was going to university. So shout out to the Fresno State alumni. You also have some active duty members in the fleet bands. Gunny Michael Barnett.
I know
He's
that
a tuba.
name.
Yeah, he's a bass player and a tuba player. I think he's at Paris Island. I think currently.
Okay.
And then you got Gunny Aguirre. I think he's at the
Yeah.
First Marine Division band. Yeah, he is. He's the
Hmm.
repair tech over there. And then you got Alexandria Reed. That's
Hmm.
her. I think that's her married name. I think her maiden name is
Yeah.
Worley. I don't know if anything happened. So shout out to those three because they're alumni of Fresno State, but
Gotcha.
music majors, but also in the Marine Corps band. I could have been the what's the word? What's the story? The redemption, but life happens, right?
That's right. That's right. But
But
everything happens
anyways,
for a reason.
right. So now going back to the entrepreneurial, with that music school, create my own music school. Okay. I missed out being a drill instructor. Why don't I just go down? What if I just go to Selma High School, which is a 30-minute drive from where I live, and I could just be the JROTC instructor, teach them how to do Marine Corps drill because it's basically a Marine-based JROTC, what if I just teach drill over there? Or I can just be a marching band tech, with the confidence that my drill instructors instilled into me. Because senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Mabe, excuse me, I think he's a first sergeant now, maybe, or maybe he's a warrant officer. I don't know. I'm not friends on him on Facebook, but he admitted he admitted like I suck at drill recruits, but I'm so obsessed with it that I learn how to drill. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
sir, right? And one thing that my senior drill instructor engraved into my head is you only need 6 hours and a half of sleep, right?
Hmm.
Right. You give your drill instructors what 8 hours of sleep, right? Typically, I don't know. I'm not a drill
No.
instructor. I don't know.
Yeah. No. I never got 8 hours of sleep. That's for sure.
But but he used his quote unquote off time, his hour and a half focus on school because he was also doing TA and stuff. So that
Oh
kind
wow.
of So that kind of inspired me as a truck driver because I do what is called a 10-hour reset before you
Hmm.
go on the road again. I use I out of those 2 hours of my 10-hour reset, I go PT, I go do random 3 mile runs just to,
Hmm.
just to PT. I do, I do random 3 mile
Nice.
runs. Every time I go to a truck stop, or not a truck stop, a rest stop, I try to knock out 25 push-ups.
Yeah.
So, if I can knock out 40, right now I'm at currently 40 push-ups per 2 minutes as per the PFT for push-ups.
Hmm.
I can only get to I can only get to 42 right now. My goal is to reach
Okay.
100. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
anytime when I'm out of state going to night transportation terminals, except for California, they have gyms except for California for whatever reason. I know the reason. I guess if anybody gets hurt, then there comes the the compensation plan.
Lawsuits.
Yeah, lawsuits
Yeah.
because California is over regulated. Hoorah, commie California. But anyways, so I developed those ideas. Be a JROTC instructor at Selma High School, or be a marching band tech at the at the nearest school districts, or start
Yeah.
giving music lessons again on clarinet, saxophone, and bassoon. But right
There you
now,
go.
yeah. So um, right now I'm just focusing on being a truck driver for my son and for my
Yeah.
family, use that as stepping stone. And then while I'm at it, well, the other thing that I'm practicing too now, I'm dedicating my heart and soul in accordion playing. So because I'm not going to the local community bands anymore, only because of my job schedule. I'm dedicating my time to learn how to play accordion and learn how to play conjunto music, basically música norteña, basically the accordion music with the basically música norteña is basically northern Mexican music, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
infused with the accordion and the polkas of the Germans and
Hmm.
the German folks come into northern Mexico and Texas, which you got
Hmm.
the conjunto genre. So basically, I'm just learning polkas and waltz, aguapangos, ichotis, all of those other
Hmm.
types of música norteña. But also, also learning how to do uh what's the I'm doing cover songs like I don't know if you heard of Ramon Ayala.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, yeah. So, I'm trying to, learn from him or look at YouTube videos to be an aspiring accordion player. Again,
Hmm.
this is basically if I want to be a musician slash entrepreneur, I think this is my school instead of going a master's degree for a performance major. This is basically, again, my influence of reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm basically
Hmm.
trying to find my business, right? Again, so going back to, I want to touch this on real quick. I really,
Yeah.
really, really, really want you to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So the thing that Rich Dad, Robert Kiyosaki touched on are the four quadrants. You got the E quadrant, you got the S quadrant, you got the business quadrant, and then you got the I quadrant, those four squares. So basically, if you're in the E quadrant, you're basically the everyday 9 to 5 person that works a 9 to 5 job, regardless of profession. Because we end up paying, because being the E quadrant, you end paying the highest taxes. The more
Hmm.
income you make, the higher the tax, correct? And
Yeah.
especially if you're making $150,000, no, majority of that money is going to taxes, right? So now when you jump from the E quadrant to the S quadrant, which stands for self-employed, so business owner, me thinking about starting my own music store, right? And creating bunch of businesses within that music store, right? And
Yeah.
basically jumping into what is called the B quadrant. Now I have a reputable music store, went from myself as the boss and 4 people under my charge going to 20 people and expanding to 4 music stores and
Hmm.
accumulating all that income. Now I accumulate other assets to build the income, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in that business quadrant, or I think I skipped. So, but basically, being a business or being a business owner slash CEO with 500 plus employees, you're considered to be in that B quadrant.
Oh
And then
wow.
the last quadrant is the investor. Basically, all that passive income that you have, you utilize it onto real estate, right?
Hmm.
You acquire land, you acquire real estate, you rent out property. Okay, now you go after, so you have 4 houses. So going back to Monopoly, so now you own 4 houses. Now you can utilize the passive income from 4 houses. Now you can buy a hotel, right?
Yeah.
So you keep
Wow.
recycling the cycling that process of, keep collecting
Hmm.
property, having passive income. Now you end up becoming a millionaire or a multimillionaire, right?
Yeah.
So
That
now,
makes sense.
and then now that opens with some ideas. What if with that income now I create my own podcast, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
music,
yeah,
as you know, so I'm gonna pitch this. Well, this is what that's going through my head. I'm gonna call it the Wandering Musician Podcast. Basically, I just interview musicians of different walks of life. What are the who inspired you to be a musician? And
yeah.
then what were your struggles, right? And then what do you do today? These can be your band directors teaching at a local school. Eventually,
Mhm.
when my future podcast expands, maybe I interview famous celebrities that are musicians and they
Yeah,
give out their pitch their advice, or I could have you in my future podcast and you
yeah,
tell
yeah,
me
yeah,
your struggles as a musician. You're a percussion, correct? You're a percussionist?
yeah, yeah. I was.
Okay,
Yeah,
you basically, it could basically, who inspired you? Where do you went to high school? Who was your band director? Those type of
yeah, yeah,
questions, right? What if I create a podcast, the Wandering Musicians podcast, and I basically not only I promote my guests, but I promote their business. Okay, cool. The
hmm,
lost art. I'm gonna go ahead and make I'm gonna, after this podcast is uploaded on YouTube, I'm gonna
yeah,
go ahead and with your blessing, I'm gonna put a shout out on on my Facebook and see if
yeah,
anyone's interested in listening to this podcast, right? And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
possibly grow it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's the B, that's the B in the B quadrant. So, but yeah, so basically what Rich Dad or Robert Kiyosaki is basically selling is, it's all about financial freedom. You're not dependent on working at a 9 to 5 job or working at a
Right.
government job, collecting paycheck, and you chase
Hmm.
those dreams. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think I covered a lot. Do you have any save
Yeah, you did.
rounds?
Yeah, you did. Hey,
Uh,
no, I think that sums up pretty much everything. I mean, obviously you have an entrepreneur mind and you're wanting to go out and do lots and lots of things and more power to you because if you go out and do those things, you're going to be super successful. So go out and do it. I'll help you as much as I can, whatever you need from me. But yeah, man, go out and do your thing. Any last words that you want to say to anybody out there, or words of encouragement,
all right.
or anything of that nature?
So there's two stories I did want to share real quick. So
Okay.
me being in Pensacola and being in the schoolhouse for so long, and then when it comes to dealing with a squadron brief or a battalion brief, right? You got the
Hmm.
you got the as you were, well, or company level, where you have the company first sergeant on deck, and then you got the CEO, right? Having long liberties. So I had long liberties in Pensacola because whatever the CEO likes to run his mouth, and just to play FF game, fun games. One belligerent Marine would be like, "Raw, sir," or "Raw first sergeant." The question is, any save rounds, right? Yeah, we need three. We need three questions. So, so the last question would be, "Sir, what motivates you?" And then everyone lose their freaking minds. And then he kept going on and on. So when I finally got to Motor T School and to the fleet, I would be that belligerent one and be like, what motivates you, first sergeant? What motivates you, sergeant major? What motivates you, gunny? And then I get the backlash. But until I bumped into, when I was in Lance Corporal seminar, our FA, a staff sergeant, the lead FA, I asked him, what motivates you? Again, drill instructor mindset. Okay, looked at me, 1,000 yards stare. He goes, all of y'all's motivate me. I come here, yes, drill field Marine, but I come here to give back to y'all's. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of like, no more of the running gag. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always ask these Marines, so what motivates you, Marines? what is your drive? Sometimes I'll break, make it Barney style. What's your drive? What keeps you what keeps you going? And I
Yeah.
go, well, here's me, Sergeant Marines. Hey, I want a lateral move back to the band. I practice my bassoon, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't follow through. But that was basically my motivation, right? Try to
Mm-hmm.
maintain my bassoon craft. But what was I saying with this? So that's that story that I want to share up. And then one other thing that I do miss, I miss my old platoon sergeant, my staff sergeant Salas from First Maintenance Battalion. So basically, I'm going to end with this. So for my active duty Marines, I'm going to give a liberty brief because I miss doing
Okay.
this. So you don't mind playing along?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
All right. So, all right, Marines. If you're gonna drink, the answer would the consensus would be don't drive. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna drive, don't drink. And do not add or detract to the population. But if you are, I'd rather you guys be pro-life about it. Good to go, because I'm a Roman Catholic. And I discourage you guys from abortion because that's depopulating from the equation. And then something that Staff Sergeant Salas would say, all right, if you see, you keep your hands and your objects to yourselves. Don't go after anybody's wife. If you're gonna go after anybody, fine. If they're engaged, go for it. But just be mindful. You're just gonna get your butt whooped at the end of the day if you happen to play stupid games like that. Play stupid games, play stupid prizes. And then one other thing, Staff Sergeant would always say, if you're gonna, if don't, this is the way he said it. All right, so I might get canceled for this. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna try to say it how he says it. But if you suck that one dick, what are you gonna be known as? A cocksucker. So yeah. But the thing is, what he's trying to imply
God.
is what the story about being the cocksucker is. I forgot to admit what it goes is. You can do all of these beautiful things in the Marine Corps, everything in the fleet. You are first class PFT, CFT. You're meritoriously promoted. You got your NAMs. You're saving babies. But if you happen to be drinking that alcohol and you get called and you drink that alcohol, you get pulled over and you get NJP'd. Now you're just known
All down the
as
drain.
you're just the Coors Light guy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
basically his liberty brief.
That's
But
funny.
but yeah,
Cool.
I really wanted to say that in your podcast.
All right. Yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for joining me on the podcast here. I truly appreciate it. A very unique story that you have, and I'm sure a lot of people will get something from it. Just your positive outlook and being able to continue to push, and the way you think about things is fantastic. So thanks again for coming on here, man. Much appreciated.
Yep. This is for the Marines. I
You
do it
want to
for
say
y'all's.
anything? Okay. All right,
That's
cool.
all I got.
All right, to all the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you're struggling, you need some help, you're thinking about hurting yourself, something like that, you can always utilize the VA. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can also text 939-288, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to get you in contact with somebody that can help you out. Uh, Once again, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know everybody else cares about you. So please, please, please go and get the help that you need. All right. Hey, thanks again for coming on. I very much appreciate it. And to all the listeners out there, stay motivated, change your socks.